and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and I'll take you through the top 50 stories of the day. Let's begin. Russia launched overnight missile strikes in the Ukrainian city of Kryvyi Rih. At least 3 people have been killed and 25 have been injured. A 5-story residential building has also been destroyed. On Tuesday morning, air raid sirens blared across Ukraine. The country's military officials said all Russian missiles targeting the capital Kyiv have been destroyed. NATO is holding its largest Air Force deployment exercise as fighting continues in Ukraine. This is the German Air Force-led Air Defender 23 exercise. It involves approximately 250 military aircraft from 25 NATO members and partner countries. About 10,000 military personnel are participating. French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Polish President Andrzej Duda to Paris on Monday. The 3 European leaders met for the Weimar Triangle Summit. They discussed ways in which the triad could provide more weapons and assistance to Ukraine. The Weimar Triangle is a 30-year-old grouping between Germany, France, and Poland. There's an update about Michael Travis Leak, the American citizen who's currently being detained in Russia. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that Washington is working hard towards getting access to the American. Remember, Leak was arrested by Moscow's police officials on allegations of running a drug racket on Monday. If found guilty, he could face up to 12 years in a Russian prison. North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un has reportedly issued a secret order to ban suicide in the country. This comes after the number of suicides increased. In May, the South Korean National Intelligence Service reported that suicides in North Korea have gone up by about 40% compared to last year. Kim Jong-un described suicide as treason against socialism. He has reportedly ordered local authorities to take preventive measures. Local officials will be held accountable for suicides. China has sent a new patrol ship on a mission in the South China Sea. It has been sent to the disputed Paracel Islands. China has established military bases and civilian settlements in the Paracels. However, the US Navy also sails through these waters. The US says that it has the freedom to conduct navigating operations. The United States is preparing evacuation plans for American citizens in Taiwan. The planning has been underway for at least around 6 months. A U.S. intelligence official has said that the heightened level of tension has driven the preparation. As of 2019, more than 80,000 Americans were in Taiwan. The island has faced rising threats from China, which considers Taiwan a part of its own territory. Chinese President Xi Jinping held talks with his Honduran counterpart, Xiomara Castro Sarmiento, in Beijing. The 2 sides agreed to establish relations on the basis of the One China principle. Castro is on a 6-day visit to China. She also met Chinese Premier Li Qiang. Meanwhile, the president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, has also arrived in Beijing for a 4-day visit. Former US President Donald Trump has arrived in Miami for a trial. He faces criminal charges for unlawfully keeping national security documents. He's also accused of lying when officials tried to recover the sensitive files. Trump has said that he's innocent and wants to continue his campaign for the 2024 presidential election. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi kicked off on his tour to Latin America from Venezuela's capital, Caracas. Raisi met Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Monday. The 2 leaders vowed to increase bilateral trade from $3 billion to $20 billion. Raisi and Maduro also signed a deal to expand their cooperation in petrochemicals. Pakistan's petroleum minister has said that the country used the Chinese yuan to buy discounted oil from Russia. This was the first government-to-government import of Russian crude oil by Pakistan. The purchase consists of 100,000 tons of crude. About 45,000 tons of crude have already been docked at Karachi port. The rest is reportedly on the way. Clashes continue in the greater capital area of Sudan. This comes after the latest 24-hour temporary ceasefire between the two warring factions expired. These factions are the Sudanese military and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. Khartoum, cities near North Khartoum and Omdurman together comprise the greater capital area. This is one of the worst affected areas due to the ongoing clashes in Sudan. Poland is set to challenge the European Union's climate laws. Warsaw will try to overturn laws, including the EU's combustion engine phase-out. An appeal will be made before the bloc's top court. The EU had passed a law that bans the sale of new cars powered by fossil fuels from 2035. The law passed despite facing opposition from Poland. Cyclone Biparjoy weakened on Tuesday. It was earlier an extremely severe cyclonic storm, which has now downgraded to a very severe cyclonic storm. This is according to the Indian Meteorological Department. 4 people have already died in the Indian city of Mumbai due to drowning in rough seas caused by Cyclone Biparjoy. The city of Boulder in the U.S. state of Colorado witnessed a severe hailstorm. Hail accumulated on the streets of Boulder. Severe weather is expected in parts of the region. The Caribbean island nation of Cuba is witnessing intense storms. 3 people have been killed and thousands have been displaced. Cuba's central and eastern regions have witnessed heavy rains in recent days. The Central Asian nation of Kazakhstan is witnessing forest fires in its eastern Abay region. Wildfires are burning across over 100,000 acres of land. At least 14 forestry workers have been killed. Kazakhstan's president has sacked the country's emergencies minister, saying criminal negligence is behind the disaster. White rhinos have been reintroduced to the Garamba National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This comes nearly 16 years after the last one was poached in the area. Garamba National Park is one of Africa's oldest national parks. Experts say that the rhinos will help restore ecological balance in this region. Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg joined a protest in Germany. This was to demonstrate against the upcoming COP28 climate conference, which is scheduled to be held in Dubai this December. The United Arab Emirates named the head of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company as the president of this year's COP28. Thunberg recently criticized this decision. More than 3,000 South Korean fishermen gathered near the parliamentary building in Seoul. People protested against Japan's planned discharge of radioactive wastewater. Japan's government has decided to release radioactive wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean. Protesters say that the Japanese government wants to do this because it's cheaper than other treatment methods. Financial giant JP Morgan has agreed to pay nearly $300 million to settle the Epstein lawsuit. It has been sued by the victims of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The bank has been accused of enabling Epstein's illegal activities by ignoring internal warnings about his behavior. Epstein was a JP Morgan client from 1998 to 2013. He continued as their customer despite being arrested over prostitution-related charges in 2006. British financial firm HSBC has decided to wind down some of its businesses in New Zealand. It'll shut down its wealth and personal banking units in the region. This is because the bank seeks to exit its less profitable businesses globally. The process will be executed in a phased manner over several years. American food delivery platform Grubhub is laying off around 400 employees. This accounts for about 15% of its corporate staff. The company has not given details of the groups or positions that will be eliminated. Grubhub has said that it will provide a minimum of 16 weeks of severance to the laid-off workers. Meanwhile, Japanese conglomerate SoftBank is reportedly planning a fresh round of layoffs. This will be in its Vision Fund unit. It's the world's largest technology-focused investment fund. The job cuts will affect up to 30% of its staff in the unit. In recent months, the company has seen the valuation of its portfolio go down. This is amid sharp interest rate hikes and rising US-China tensions. US-based education company Chegg will also cut 80 positions. This will affect about 4% of its workforce. This comes at a time when students are turning to artificial intelligence chatbots like ChatGPT for tutoring assistance. Meanwhile, Chegg is incorporating AI into its brand. It's pushing more students to use its automated tutor interface, Cheggmate. New Zealand has likely entered a recession in the first quarter of this financial year. This is according to analysts. They say the country's gross domestic product is expected to go down by 0.1%. This is contrary to New Zealand Central Bank's forecast of 0.3% growth. New Zealand will release its official data on Thursday. Tech companies Google and Microsoft-backed OpenAI have restricted access to their AI chatbots in Hong Kong. None of the companies have provided an explanation for their move. However, experts say that they're concerned about the Chinese government's influence in the region. Expansion in the city could expose the companies to the Chinese national security law. The law criminalizes the criticism of the government. Facebook's parent company Meta is facing new gender discrimination complaints in Europe. It's been accused of targeting users with job postings based on historical gender stereotypes. For example, jobs for mechanics were mostly shown to men, while jobs for preschool teachers appeared mostly for women. The allegations are based on research by an international non-profit organization called Global Witness. India-based Tata Consultancy Services is seeing a higher attrition among women. This is after it called back employees to work from the office as the pandemic ended. However, the trend is unusual for the technology giant. Historically, female resignations have either been low or equal to that of men in the company. Denmark is looking to introduce rules to improve child safety on big tech platforms. Copenhagen aims to raise the age limit for when children can give consent for the collection of their personal data. The country wants to increase the age limit from 13 to either 15 or 16 years of age. Tech companies will need parental consent for children younger than that. This will affect companies like Google, Snapchat, and Meta. Moving to sports, in cricket, this year's Asia Cup is likely to be played in Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Pakistan are the designated hosts of the tournament. However, India refused to play their matches in Pakistan, citing security concerns. India's matches will now be played in Sri Lanka as part of a hybrid arrangement. In April, Pakistan had proposed hosting India's matches in the UAE. However, the proposal was rejected by other countries competing in the Asia Cup. In football, Manchester City celebrated Sunday's UEFA Champions League win with their fans. Man City beat Inter 1-0 to lift the Champions League trophy. City also won the Premier League and the FA Cup to secure their first ever treble. Even thunderstorms didn't dampen their celebrations. The players were paraded on a bus for hours. Fans even threw confetti on City's manager, Pep Guardiola. Argentine football legend Lionel Messi was briefly detained by Chinese officials at Beijing airport. Messi is in China to play an international friendly between Argentina and Australia. Chinese authorities stopped the World Cup winner from clearing immigration after he produced his Spanish passport instead of his Argentine one. He was then detained and questioned for over 2 hours. Messi was eventually granted a visa and allowed to proceed. French club Paris Saint-Germain are in a state of shock. Their star striker Kylin Mbappe has declined to renew his contract with the club. The Frenchman has asked PSG to release him as a free agent once his contract ends in 2024. Kylin Mbappe was the leading goal scorer for PSG this season. He was pivotal in securing this year's Ligue 1 title for his club. Meanwhile, Mbappe's Paris Saint-Germain teammate Neymar is on the radar of the Saudi Pro League. In May, Neymar indicated that he was keen on making an early exit from PSG. Now, Saudi club Al Hilal have offered the Brazilian striker a lucrative offer worth $237 million. This comes after the Saudi club failed to close a deal with Argentine footballer Lionel Messi. In tennis, Novak Djokovic has reclaimed the world #1 rank. Djokovic dethroned Carlos Alcaraz after winning a record 23rd Grand Slam title at the French Open on Sunday. Meanwhile, 22-time Grand Slam winner Rafael Nadal slipped out of the top 100 rankings for the first time in 20 years. In badminton, India's HS Pranoy advanced to the round of 16 at the Indonesia Open. The tournament is being held in Indonesia's capital, Jakarta. Pranoy beat Japan's Kenta Nishimoto 21-16, 21-14 in just 50 minutes. He'll now play Hong Kong's Angus KL on Wednesday. Meanwhile, India's PV Sindhu also advanced to the round of 16 at the Indonesia Open. She beat her Indonesian opponent Gregoria Tunjung 21-19, 21-15. This was Sindhu's first win against Tunjung in their last 3 matchups. The Indian shuttler will now face Chinese Taipei's Tai Ying in the next round. In basketball, Denver Nuggets scripted history by clinching their first ever NBA championship title. Denver beat Miami Heat 94-89 to win Game 5 of the finals. This meant they won the 7-match series 4-1. Denver's Nikola Jokic was the star performer of the night. He scored 28 points to secure the historic win for the Nuggets. Jokic was also named the most valuable player of the NBA Finals. In golf, Nick Taylor won the Canadian Open in the ongoing PGA Tour. The tournament was played in Toronto's Oakdale Golf Club. Canada's Taylor clinched the trophy with a score of 17 under par. After the win, his teammate Adam Hadwin ran onto the green spraying champagne. A security guard mistook the Canadian golfer for an exuberant fan, slamming him to the ground. However, Hadwin survived the tackle without sustaining any injuries. Now, on to entertainment. K-pop band BTS are celebrating their 10th anniversary. To mark the occasion, landmarks like the Banpo Bridge and Lotte World Tower in Seoul were illuminated with the purple color. Fans from around the world have landed in Seoul to celebrate. Seoul is planning a host of activities over the weekend to honor the band's impact on the country. K-pop band Blackpink's singer Jennie is in recovery after she had to leave a concert midway due to health concerns. Jennie had to exit the stage during the band's Born Pink tour in Australia. At the time of the incident, her agency described it as her deteriorating condition. Streaming platform Netflix has announced 5 winning teams for its UK documentary talent fund. The teams will receive funding and professional support to make short documentaries. The projects will be released on Netflix's YouTube channel in the new year. Comedians Jerry Seinfeld and Jim Gaffigan are planning a 4-arena comedy tour. The first event will take place on the 3rd of November in San Francisco. The tour will then go to Los Angeles, St. Louis, and Chicago. Meanwhile, the duo will next be seen in the film Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart Story. Late Australian comedian Barry Humphries has been awarded the country's top honour. He's been posthumously awarded the Companion of the Order of Australia. The medal recognises Humphries for his eminent service to the arts and promotion of Australian culture. Television show NCIS Sydney has announced its main cast. Actors Olivia Swan and Todd Lasance have been set in the lead roles. The show is a spin-off of the popular American crime drama franchise called NCIS. The Sydney spin-off marks the first international edition of the franchise. Game show Wheel of Fortune's host, Pat Sajak, will be retiring after the end of its 41st season. The new season will begin in September. Sajak will continue as a consultant on the show for 3 more years. The 76-year-old joined the show in 1981. It won him 3 Daytime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Game Show Host. Actor Michael Fassbender has crashed out of the 24 Hours of Le Mans Championship in France. Fassbender crashed his Porsche 911 just 15 minutes before his 6-hour slot was to complete. He did not sustain any injuries and was able to take the car to the pits. This was the actor's second appearance at the endurance racing event. He was part of Germany's Proton competition team. Production on the Marvel series Daredevil Born Again has been halted amid the Writers Guild of America strike. Shooting for the new season of the show was supposed to take place at New York's Silver Cup East Studios. The location, however, has been one of the main picketing areas for the striking writers. Author Elizabeth Gilbert is pulling her next book from the release calendar after facing a backlash for its setting in Russia. Gilbert, who's also the author of the book Eat, Pray, Love, received criticism from Ukrainians. The novel, titled The Snow Forest, is set in Siberia. It was originally scheduled to release in February 2024. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.